Hello there, welcome, Vimeo number 5. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, an apology. I've broken my glasses, so I'm having to wear my old glasses. Well, they're not very good, so apologies if I struggle a little bit with my reading tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Vimeo number 4, if you remember, hopefully you've been watching on the Cold War. We were looking at the Berlin blockade, the Berlin airlift, 1948, 1949. Hopefully you've got that one sorted. Now, those events, some people suggested that the tension between America and USSR over Berlin made war more likely. As a consequence of that, Europe is beginning to divide into two camps. Now, when I was a young man, I think I was 23, back in 1984, there was a very famous band called Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And one of their songs, I think, got to number 1. When two tribes go to war, a point is all you can score. Go and check it out on YouTube or something like that. Two tribes go to war. What was Frankie Goes to Hollywood talking about? Well, they were talking about the Cold War. Two tribes. The Americans and the Russians. There's my version of the Kremlin, if you like, the American White House. America and Russia. Two tribes. Now then, they didn't go to war directly, as we know. But as a result of Berlin, they begin to drift apart. Tension increases between the two countries, between the two tribes. Now, on the one side, we have America. Well, countries in Western Europe look at the situation and say, we want to keep America in Western Europe and we want to keep USSR out of Western Europe. How could that be done? April 1949. America joins together with 12 countries from the west of Europe. And they join and they form, if you like, their tribe or their gang. Can you remember what their gang is called? Hopefully, some of you said NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And basically, NATO was set up to help America protect Western Europe against the Russians. Now, how did it work? Well, here's the key principle of NATO. If one country in NATO, any of the 12, was to be attacked by USSR, then all of the other countries would come in to support, protect, and defend that country. So they are saying to the East, to USSR, and to Stalin, we are joining together in a military alliance against you. That was a key development of the Berlin airlift and blockade, the development of NATO, 1949. A military alliance, building on President Truman. Remember, he had the policy of containment. Can you remember what that was? America trying to contain or hold back the spread of communism. Well, here we have other countries joining with America, a military alliance to join America's political alliance against Russia. Do you remember a man called Marshall? The Marshall Plan, Marshall Aid. Hopefully you do. America promising to rebuild Western Europe, put money in to help it rebuild after the war, so that those countries would say, we want to be with America because they are helping us rebuild. We do not want to go and join the communists. NATO, linking together. So that's one of the tribes. NATO. Well, how will the Kremlin react to this? The leader of USSR, 1949. Joseph Stalin. How, how would he react to that? Well, he's not going to be very pleased. He might feel threatened. He might say, look at them, they've got together against us. What can we do? Any ideas? Well, Stalin begins to put together his tribe or his gang. Now, he dies before it's actually sorted out, 1953, the death of Stalin. But he'd already started off moving towards the gang or the tribe of the Russians, called the Warsaw Pact. Warsaw, capital city of Poland. And here we have 8 countries from Eastern Europe, such as, for example, East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, those sorts of countries. And in 1955, they announced that they've got their tribe. Warsaw Pact. NATO. Europe has divided into 2 tribes. Europe maybe is getting ready for conflict. Have a think about that. So there we see the 2 tribes, NATO versus Warsaw Pact. That's the end of the first half of the video. But there's something else to think about. Something called the arms race. What does that mean? Hopefully you've done it in class. The arms race. I hope you've said spending money and building up your military strength, building weapons, tanks, planes, bombs, etc. That's the arms race. Both camps, both tribes, both gangs spending huge amounts of money, particularly on nuclear weapons. 1945 through to 1955, 10 years. NATO, Warsaw Pact, 10 years of the arms race. Here's some key events, some key dates for you. Do you know some of them? 1945, end of World War II. How did the war actually end? The Americans dropped 2 atom bombs on 2 Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 2 bombs called Fat Man and Little Boy. They showed the world that America had nuclear weapons and would use them. Changed the world forever. How would Stalin feel? How did the Russians feel? Threatened? What could they do about it? 1949, USSR successfully test their atom bomb. Well, hey, America, we've caught up with you. We've got an atom bomb. The world is changing. One of the top scientists on the American team who helped to develop the bomb, a man called Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, when the bomb was tested, he came out with a very well-known phrase now in history. And he said this: I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Now, he took that from an ancient religious text. The destroyer of worlds. Well, the atom bomb did change the world. And now you've got 2 countries, America and Russia, by 1949, both with the atom bomb. America say, whoa, Russia's caught us up. We've got to go ahead. 1952, they successfully test the hydrogen bomb, more powerful than the nuclear bomb. 1953, Russia says, we've got a hydrogen bomb. We've caught you up again. 1955, America says, well, we've got a new plane, the Stratofortress. It's long range. We can put our bombs on the plane and send them across and threaten you. Well, then the Russians say, well, we'll develop our plane. The Soviet plane, the Tu-20 Bear. We'll put our bombs on our plane and threaten you. The arms race. What is that important for? What is the significance? What does it show between the 2 tribes? No trust. They did not trust each other. Each side said, we must be stronger than the other. Even if it means spending huge amounts of money, We are going to spend more than the other. There's one important consequence of the arms race. Well, did it work? Did it prevent normal war? Well, the short answer, of course, is yes. USSR, the Russians, they had a far bigger normal conventional army, over 3 million soldiers. Technically, they could invade West Berlin and West Germany. America did not have that many soldiers, but the Russians would not invade. Why not? Is it the fear of the American nuclear weapons? Many people said yes. They feared American retaliation. So some people said that the arms race actually kept the peace. Have a think about that. Did it keep the peace? The Russians, of course, they went and did their research and they saw the damage that was done at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, both to people and the cities. Did fear of American nuclear weapons stop them invading? Some people said yes, it did. Others said, yeah, but we still shouldn't have done it. That's for you to think about. What I've tried to show you in this video, the two tribes, the arms race, the lack of trust, NATO, Warsaw Pact. We're up to about 1955, ladies and gentlemen. Remember what I said? Stalin died in 1953. Warsaw Pact, 55. Europe was splitting. The world was splitting. Two tribes. Now, our next Vimeo, Vimeo number 6. Wow. We look at something in 1956, a major event to check out this new relationship between America and USSR. 1956. What happened in 56? Any ideas? See you in Vimeo number 6. All the best now. Take care.